Once upon a time, there was a Valorant agent, and this Valorant agent was so versatile, they could even fulfill multiple roles as a hybrid agent of sorts. This Valorant agent was so good that they broke records for top pick percentage in pro games, and they were so good that they had to be nerfed into the absolute ground. I'm of course talking about everyone's favourite French guy, Chamber, and also his new competition for top pro pick rate. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to make one thing very clear. I'm not very good at this game, like at all. I'm not even a little bit good at this game, and I'm fully aware of that, don't worry. I'm just been working footage in for, like, you know, B-roll, I guess. I do go outside sometimes I even touch trees, maybe grass, but that's only if I'm feeling really connected with nature, you know? Although, if you are absolutely itching to give me a tip, I'm chill with constructive criticism. That is cool, just, you know, don't yell at me, and please don't be mean to me. I'm like one of those little kittens, you know. If you're being mean to me, you'll be mean to one of those like really small kittens. They're just like so adorable that I keep getting videos for. Vincent Chamber Valorant Fabron, excuse me if I'm absolutely butchering that name. French was my worst subject in school, so yeah. But anyway, he was added to the roster on the 16th of November in 2021 in patch 3.10. Less than a year later, at Masters Copenhagen in 2022, he was absolutely dominating the entire scene. And this is when he had a 77% pick rate, which is the highest pick rate for pro playing. And he was everywhere in regular games as well. Like, you've just loaded on, there's probably going to be a chamber in your game. And a lot of this came down to the fact that he was truly goated, with the sauce, some might even say. A pretty common play was to put one TP down at a choke, and then a second secret, well, not secret, but a second TP somewhere way safer behind cover where you can like get back to reload your gun, all that. So you sit at the choke, you shoot the team as you're entering, and regardless of whether you hit or not, you TP away with your tail between your legs and you live to see another shot, probably. This FGL card was absolutely insane. Like, yeah, Reyna does have her dismiss, but unless she's ulting, you can see exactly where she's going. And there is a pretty limited range while she's using it, because you only have so much time to, you know, dismiss around. If your teammate goes down to a pre-patch 5.12 chamber, he is gone. That chamber is gone. So is your teammate, but the chamber, I mean, you've no idea where he is. That's going to be a very hard kill to follow up on. The fact that you wouldn't even get an opportunity a lot of the time to follow up and get the trade for your dead teammate is so busted. But the thing is, a lot of Chamber's identity was built around this TP. So they couldn't just remove the TP, it's kind of important. So what were Riot going to do? In patch 4.09, the nerfs began to his trademark, which is his trip ability. It's really like the most sentinel part of his kit. The cost increased from 150 credits to 200 credits. Instead of having two trademarks, he only had one now, and the enemies would be able to hear the trademark when it was put down from a further distance. But the thing is, the trademark was like the easiest part of his kit to deal with, because I mean, listen, sentinels are going to have trips. That's kind of just a sentinel thing. The problem with his kit was still the TP and also the like 100 credit one shot to the head guns, like per bullet, 100 credits per bullet, and like the op that you get for free with your ult. That was also a big thing, but mostly the TP. So of course the nerfs continued, but this time to every single part of his kit in patch 5.03. The slow duration from the trademark when an enemy tripped it went down from 9.5 seconds to 6 seconds. The cost per bullet for his headhunter went from 100 credits to 150 credits. His ult, the big op Tour de Force, did have a couple of hits made to it. The ult points required went from 7 to 8. The slow duration was decreased from 9.5 seconds to 6, just like the trademark. And of course, the TP, the rendezvous, if you want to be real fancy with it, that was slammed with nerfs. The base cooldown and recall went up from 20 seconds to 30, which is a pretty substantial part of the round. The anchor radius, which is how far away you could get from the anchor before you wouldn't be able to TP back, went from 10.5 meters to 7.5 meters. And the cooldown after being destroyed was set to 45 seconds, which is a really long time in a Valorant round. And somehow, after all of this, Chamber was not only still really good, but he was a completely, incomparably overpowered threat in the right hands, or in like the all right hands, like in most hands. He was still really good. Patch 5.12 destroyed Chamber, right? They absolutely gutted him, made him a shell of the agent he once was. Now I'm not going to go over every single nerf that happened this patch because there were a lot, but you know, we'll start with the smaller ones and we'll work our way up to the ever so slightly bigger ones. The slow duration when you shot someone with your tour de force, which is the ult, went from 6 to 4 seconds. Not really a big deal to be honest, but you know, still a substantial nerf. The headhunter spread increased for spamming after you shot the second bullet. Just like the tour de force, the slow radius for the trademark went from 6 seconds to 4 seconds, and a proximity radius of 40 meters was added. If you go outside of this radius, the trademark would deactivate. And the arm time went up from 2 seconds to 4 seconds. Now there were actually a few buffs for the trademark. A big one being that you could now recall it mid-round without LOS, which is actually pretty big, and its health went up to 20, and it also became immune to ally damage like Serenade, which is really helpful. 1 TP. One TP. Remember how I said at the start of this that a pretty common play was to put 1 TP down at a choke and a second one off somewhere safe, and you could just scurry away like a little coward who just got, you know, a really cool kill or absolutely whiffed. Who knows? Listen, I'm not judging you. I've been there. Believe me, I've been there. I'm not gonna judge, but you know, you just kind of run away. No more. I mean, technically you can still run away, but to a very huntable distance, because before patch 5.12 in December of 2022, Chamber had 2 TPs. You just go between them. But now, if you log into Valorant today, he's got 1. You know, you place it. This is my TP. It's bollock cranberry juice, right? And you place it down, and you walk away a little bit, and you snap, and you just come right back to this. You don't go to a different bottle of cranberry or different TP, I guess. It's just 1 now. There were also some other nerfs to the TP, if you can believe it. That was not big enough of a nerf, apparently. The health went from 80 to 50. The equip time was increased. And then there was this huge second nerf. If the TP was destroyed by the enemy team, it wouldn't just put it on a cooldown for the round, it would disable it for the round. It's gone. You get 1 TP and it's not coming back. There were a couple of buffs. The TP radius was increased from 7.5 meters to 13 meters, which of course it would have to be, or else you have like no space to move around with this 1 TP. And then this extra cooldown that was added if Chamber recalled the TP after he had used it, that little extra cooldown was removed. Any restrictions on the TP, like things like different verticality, were also removed. And just like the trademark, it also became immune to ally damage like a silver shock dart. But I mean, obviously, these buffs were not going to outdo the removal of the second TP in any way, shape or form. And so brought around Chamber's downfall from beyond oppressive to about as useful as a shoe with the soul cut out. At least you'd think that's what happened based off the community's reaction, but being real, I mean, he was still pretty decent. You could still win games very well on him if you had good aim, because like half of his kit is literally just guns. He just wasn't like super good anymore. You know, he's still a perfectly playable guy. But recently, there have been some exciting developments and a bit of competition for the title of highest pro pick rate. And I did want to have like a bit of a build up, but I've probably spoiled it in the thumbnail. But you know, pretend that you didn't see that, just wipe it from your memory real quick. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that a lot. It's someone who is so situational, so unsuspecting, someone who, if I cannot figure out a good way to segue my point, I'm going to get so toxic. That is right. It is the one and only Britney Spears. I'm kidding. It is Viper, as you probably guessed. I spoiled it in the thumbnail, didn't I? But ignore that. Viper is a controller, and she's been there since like day 1, right? Like she's an OG. She's not a very flexible controller, if we are being real here. Her wall just cannot be moved once it's put down, and she only gets 1 orb smoke, like spherical smoke, like a brimmy smoke, which oftentimes are the much more versatile smokes. But sometimes you need that wall to cover an area. With that decay effect being almost as strong as the decay that Valorant skins have put on my bank account, she's pretty good. Total side note, because I feel like rambling for a second, I've been spoiled with Valorant skins, and I don't know if any other like Valorant players can relate, because I wasn't like on shooter games as a kid. My first shooter games were Overwatch and Valorant, because Valorant was free and Overwatch was a tenner, and the only other big game I'd seen at the time was CS, which all the things I heard about that kind of scared me to go on as someone who had no gaming or no first-person shooter gaming experience, and Call of Duty, and at that time I didn't realize Warzone was free. I thought they were all expensive. But then like a while ago I got Rainbow Six Siege, and my boyfriend actually used to play it a ton, so he was showing me, and I had like a little box to get, and I opened it and I got Black Ice, and he's freaking out because it's like a really good skin. I was like, you know, I mean, it's nice, I guess, but like, I don't know, I wouldn't buy it. Valorant skins have like genuinely just like, nothing can compare anymore. Overwatch skins can compare. No other game can compare with their skins. Maybe Fortnite can compare. Fortnite has some bangers. No other game can compare when it comes to skins. Araxis Vandal on top. I love it. That's my bread and butter. I love Araxis. Okay, back to regular scheduled programming. Viper might not be the best on every map, but on the map she is good on, oh, she is so good on. And her pro pick rate is really being helped by the fact that a lot of the pro maps being picked are Viper maps. Lotus, Breeze, Icebox, Split and Bind are some really strong maps for her, and these are maps that are seeing a lot of play right now. In fact, the top 5 maps for Masters Madrid were Bind, Icebox, Lotus, Split and Sunset. While I didn't actually end up watching a whole lot of Masters Madrid this year, which kind of sucks, but you know, is what it is, things happen. I didn't get to see a whole lot of it, so I can't tell you for sure how much Viper was played on Sunset. I saw a few things written that she was used as a second controller even on Sunset, so clearly she is doing amazing for herself. Sentinels are defensive experts who can lock down areas and watch flanks both on attacker and defender rounds. Okay, maybe she doesn't have anything to like gather information with, but locking down areas is something that Viper is so good at. She's kind of like a controller and a sentinel in one, in the same way that Chamber was kind of like a sentinel and a duelist in one. Considering that her smokes do decay, you have to be even more careful with them than you would be with any other smokes. The decay combined with her mollies, which do a vulnerable effect, and for anyone who doesn't know, vulnerable will double any sort of damage you're taking. So if you have the vulnerable effect and you get shot in the body with a vandal, you're not taking 40 damage, you're taking 80 damage. But anyway, as I was saying, the decay combined with her mollies can not only stop a push, but also stop the lives of the other team. And even the mollies on their own can also stop a push pretty well. And clearly, this has been picked up on by pro players because she has a 200% pick rate. Okay, I jest a little, I joke around a bit, and that is because I'm honestly finding very conflicting numbers for her current pick rate. This Reddit post that I found that actually got me started on wanting to do this video said that it was 83%, which is insane, but the tracker website said 70.34%. But when I added up the average of her pick rates on each map, which is, I'm assuming, how overall pick rate is calculated, I got 72.1%. Point is, she has a high pick rate, and even if that Reddit post is wrong, it's still getting very close to Chambers. She's doing so well right now in the pro scene, at least, because those pick rates aren't really transferring to regular Valorant, where she has a 4.6% pick rate. As of right this, there are 10 agents ahead of her in pick rate. The top ones are, of course, Reyna and Jet, but this 10 also includes Chamber. This is probably because most people consider controller to be their least favorite role in the game, so I just don't think that she's going to see the Chamber treatment anytime soon, even if her pro rates do end up like undeniably surpassing Chamber's peak. Right, so about that. Okay, first things first, ignore the hair roller. Right, second thing second. So I actually wrote and recorded all of this a couple of weeks back, and then, you know, had a bunch of college finals, a bunch of final assessments and exams and assignments and whatever. So I said, alright, I'm gonna pause this, I'm gonna get right back to editing this in a couple of weeks. And in that time, my beloved Viper has indeed gotten the Chamber treatment. I literally just played a few minutes of her in the practice range, and man, I don't think I can play her anymore. I'm going to be honest, she is not good anymore. Of course, the most obvious nerf for Viper is to increase how long it'll take for her fuel to refill, which is of course a nerf that she got landed with, but that is nothing compared to what else is coming. So if you haven't heard these, you might want to brace yourself. You might want to make sure you're sitting down, you have a nice drink with you, because oh wow, there are a lot. Okay, so her mollies now last a second longer, yay! And also she has one of them. She has one molly, and it costs 300 credits instead of 200, and it only lasts a second longer to outdo all of that. This is not good. I know lineups are kind of, you know, really overpowered in the right situation, but those mollies are good for so much more than the lineups. They're good for taking space, they're good for holding off pushes, they're good for like a lot of things that are lineups. Also, and what I think is the biggest one, is now you can only pick up your smoke orb during the buy round. So if you put it down during the round, you can't pick it back up at all. That rules out a lot of plays. There's a lot of plays you can do with that, and now you can't, because literally almost every other controller can change where the smokes are, right? Astra can recall her stars. Omen, Clove, Harbor, they all have regenerating smokes. Brimstone doesn't, but he's in his own little special category, so we won't worry about him right now. Viper's wall was not flexible like at all. Like once you put it down, it's done. So the orb was the only thing giving her any sort of flexibility, and now it's kind of gone. The thing is, you would never have Viper as a solo controller on, say, Ascent, right? Because while there are maps she's really good on, there are maps she is terrible on by herself. So this is really not going to help with the map she's good on, and is really not going to help with the maps that she is terrible on, even with a second controller. Like, she might not be the best. Especially now. she won't be the best. Oh wow. Let's see, can I take my hair down yet? It's only been for a few minutes, so probably not. No. Oh wow, I should have left it a bit longer. My hair not being fully done is representative of the fact that I'm feeling undone because of these Viper nerfs. Maybe I'm a massive hypocrite because I did say that those chamber nerfs were needed, but I genuinely don't think these Viper nerfs are needed. Like maybe, you know, a nerf, not ones this big and not this many of them. Free my girl. Free my girl from the clutches of Valorant nerfs. She did nothing wrong. Because she is good. Like, she is really good, but she is nowhere near as versatile as Chamber ever was. Like, say if you're on Ascent, you don't want her as a solo controller because she's really not the best one for that role on Ascent. Right, I'm not saying that, like, you can never have a Viper as a solo controller on Ascent. I'm just saying typically it's not going to work out, but, you know, I'm sure it has worked out sometimes. Point is, she's really good, but she's not oppressive, which is why her high pick rate is kind of surprising. Okay, that's all. Goodbye. Righto. Give her back. Give me back my Viper.